What's up, YouTubers? I was just in the middle of starting this HOGWATCH episode. Uh, we're starting off with Peanut Butter David. Are we'll get some valuetainment out of this, I think. Anyway, this guy was just talking about how China needs to pay because Iran shot down one of our planes or something, right? You can scroll
on
back
how it's undermining the United States in all of this.
I'm going to come to you with this one first.
We just lost an AWACS plane in Saudi Arabia, and the Russians and the Chinese almost certainly supplied the information to Iran for targeting purposes. That was a grievous loss for us. There's got to be some costs on China for continuing its support of Iran.
Yeah,
China must pay. We should be allowed to bomb Iran with no consequences. And Iran should not be allowed to make partnerships with other countries. So dumb.
Yeah, and that was an early warning jet.
But, dude, look, this guy has books and old pictures behind him, so that's how you know he's smart. Okay? And a map.
Which gives early warnings to, intelligence to the region's officials and troops on the ground. And the Wall Street Journal reported that a replacement of that jet will cost $700 million. That was a real loss. You're
Sheesh. Wow. So, glad to hear we're just wasting $700 million on jets that Iran can blast out of the sky, no problem. That's cool. Okay. Wait. Okay. Wait. Okay. There. I'm ready.
right. And you're saying the reason that they knew where that jet was is because China provided the information.
Yes, from even before this war started, you had a private Chinese company, Maser Vision, showing the location of U.S. military assets in the region along with specific coordinates. And then we have that large Chinese intelligence ship just off Iranian waters. China's support for Iran is almost across the board. The only thing they don't do is they don't supply combat troops. But apart from that, China is there, and we need to recognize that, because if we don't recognize...
Yeah, so I just... Really quick, just to follow up on your point, and then I'll touch on.
We have to bomb China now. That's the solution. Oh my God, they're just crying, dude. They're like, China! I can't believe China's not giving us the logistics to bomb Iran. I can't believe China is giving Iran logistics in a war that we started that was totally unnecessary. Oh, brother, dude.
That point, which is the best explanation I've seen for why Trump did this, so seemingly so out of character, is from, we'll call him a friend of mine in sort of the Washington world.
So mobster, a friend of mine, like, is he connected?
One of ours.
If it's like, just tell us, because
Well, he said, how do you if you have a dog that won't stop chasing cars, how do you get him to stop? And the answer is you let him catch the car.
Does he understand who the dog in this situation? Dude, America is the dog that caught the car in this situation.
The dog?
He thinks Iran is the dog that caught the car? Oh my God.
Right? The neocons have wanted this war with Iran. The deep state have wanted this war with Iran forever. Let them catch the car and then let it go badly. I'm not saying I like what that means, but let the American public see it. Let them feel it. And so there's a way where this goes, where maybe he stands aside and he lets gas go to $6, and he lets basically Iran and Israel beat each other to death. And
I would prefer that.
That's not a bad outcome.
You know what it is for me? It's like, okay, guys, Go.
Because he can't tell
Western,
Israel.
Western hemisphere.
As if Israel in the diaper force has the capability of beating Iran to death. Yeah, dude. If America abandons Israel, Israel's cooked. They don't have a military no more. Especially with the way they operate now, just opening up endless fronts of military occupation and invasion in Lebanon and Syria, and now increasing the pressure in the West Bank and in Gaza, Yemen. Yeah, man, Israel can totally go toe to toe with Iran, dude, by themselves. These people are fucking stupid. Do they understand that that we give Israel like 70% of their weapons and tanks and planes? Like, Israel gets all that shit from us for free. Anyway.
Yeah, he can't tell Israel to go. Practically speaking, politically, he can't say, I'm going to let Israel go. So let them have their fight. And then that might be what we're watching. But so to Gordon Chang's point, absolutely Russia and China are supporting them. And what Americans have not been well informed on, because, it's just not what politically, but in the 23 and 24, we have since then been providing very accurate targeting information, doing everything for the Ukrainians, but pressing the red button to hit Russian targets in Ukraine. And
even in Russia.
In Russian territory proper, more importantly. They were launching missiles into Russia.
Oh, yeah, and we eased up sanctions on Russia too recently because of the crisis we caused in the Strait of Hormuz with Iran now. The Ayatollah making it so that if a ship wants to cross, they have to pay in Chinese Ayatollah, in Chinese yuan. I don't know the details of that, so I can't explain it much deeper because I'm not a professional at this yet anyway. And I don't really have the time or energy to get into it, but, whatever.
With our targeting and guidance. And the Russians didn't take the bait. They said, we will retaliate at a time and place of our choosing. And what I hear is that the time and place of their choosing was about 2-3 days after this war began, because the Iranians apparently only have like 2 satellites. We were not expecting them to be very accurate. The Russians have a satellite system called GLONASS, GLONASS, that is apparently extremely accurate. And then the Chinese also have a private, basically GPS, etc. And yeah, they're absolutely helping.
China
I think we've lost 2, at least 1, if not 2.
Hold on, let me open my button. My instance. Okay, we're back.
E3 AWACS. Those would be the first ever loss of that aircraft in combat, if I hear right. We have lost, if you include the 16, as I saw it yesterday, Raptor drones as fixed-wing aircraft, we have now lost as many, either just 95% or more of the number of aircraft, fixed-wing aircraft we lost in 11 years in Iraq, we have lost in 4 weeks in Iran. And why is that happening? Because they are getting good targeting from the Russians and the Chinese. And so there's this narrative, the Iranians are on their own, they're beaten to death, the Russians are weak, the Chinese are weak because they're not helping. Chinese, by culture, they aren't going to come like an American and punch you right back in the face. They are going to...
By culture, yeah. It's their culture, dude. I mean, maybe that's a part of it, but it's also just their political system is not built to keep up and maintain an endless war machine. I mean, they have military might, don't get me wrong, but, dominating the globe is not their objective, or at least I've seen no evidence that it is. Except for, like, hysterical, racist Western fears. Yeah, anyway.
Sit back, passively, aggressively, respond in a way that works for them. The Russians, a little bit of the same dynamic, but the point here is this. The American people are not being told that they are fighting Russia and China by proxy in this war. And that is exactly what's happening. And when we look at the implications of that, number one, do we want to be at war with Russia and China? Probably not. But number two,
considering how Ukraine is going with them losing manpower, the manpower to sustain their defense, you know, I wouldn't say it's you know, God, whatever. Yeah, no, we don't really want to be in a war with any of these countries because we're just showing we can't even take on Iran. We can't even take on Iran with Israel and the Israel allegiance. So, I mean, China could basically do whatever they wanted in the South China Sea now, if, you know, with how terribly things are going for the U.S. military. But they're not. I mean, at least as far as I've seen. Anyway.
They have the two biggest industrial bases in the world. The Secretary General of NATO in January 2025, Mark Rutte, came out in January 2025 and said, in the Ukraine war, Russia has outproduced all of NATO, America, and everybody else.
Damn, this isn't a PBD featured clip. They just brought on somebody who actually kind of knows what he's talking about. Urgh. Where's some more Valuetainment? Yellowstone actor. Should I go to case study quarterback to find something? What did I get notified by? Yeah, whatever. Uh-oh, Cory Booker. He's so insane, dude. I don't even understand what goes on in that guy's head. Just the ultimate cope, I got. He's just getting hit with the ultimate copium every day and day in and day out or something. If he's like not a shit, if he's not a total piece of shit, corrupt piece of shit.
Bookings are up 39%.
Nothing new. Fuck. Damn, I thought there'd be something new. That shows a bad day to do HOGWATCH. Let's see what's going on in MAGA Twitter. MAGA! MAGA voice. My number one. What? Okay. Breaking. President Trump just told the world that the new regime leader knows what needs to be done. Listen to Trump. Make a deal. Our military, the greatest and most powerful by far, anywhere in the world, hasn't even started destroying what's left in Iran. Bridges next, then electric power plants. New regime leadership knows what has to be done, and it has to be done fast. President Donald J. Trump. He is so psychotic. This was today. Well, number one terrorist, I think. He's like, yeah, we're gonna blow up bridges. That's not terrorism, though. They're the terrorists. He wrote insulting Bruce Springsteen, whatever. Okay. Oh, Caroline Leavitt went on with Eric.
Prevent a few hundred cases of voter fraud.
First of all, thank you.
Is it worth it to risk millions of Americans from voting in order to prevent a few hundred cases of voter fraud?
First of all, thank you for the question. No, it's an honest question. I'm happy to give you an honest answer. First of all, I have not seen the data you provided, so I'd like to go check it myself and make sure that it's actually accurate in the way that you're citing it. And there is certainly much more, I believe, voter fraud in this country, and I'm sure the statistics back it up, than what you cited with one survey. And why are you okay with any voter fraud in the United States?
Oh, wait. Fuck. Am I misunderstanding what she's saying here?
Of America.
Is it like a liberal?
Is it worth it to risk millions of Americans from voting in order to prevent a few hundred cases?
Oh, okay. I misunderstood what the question was. Great. Neil Gorsuch, do the right thing, please. Neil Gorsuch, protect birthright citizenship, and you will be reincarnated as a lotus flower. I don't know. I don't trust John Roberts to do the right thing at all. Maybe Gorsuch, though, because he's chill with natives, sorta. The Native Americans. What did they say here?
As a conservative on a college campus today in America, you will be the ideological minority. It's just
good.
the fact. But we're changing that. I think we're changing that in a big way, thanks to Charlie and everything that you guys are doing.
Totally.
But you have to just speak freely and have the courage to be bold. As a conservative on a college campus today in America, you will be the ideological minority.
Okay, well, I know there was a turning point at my undergrad that had like two guys. Well, no, wait, it might have had more. They had like a free speech volleyball or some I'm not sure. Wait, let me check it out. If my college is getting turning point pilled. I don't think they are because of Platner, but and Charlie Kirk is literally a joke. Oh. Well, doesn't seem like they have any motion up in Maine. Anyway. Ooh, One Piece edit? That's cool. Anyway, I don't want to get DMCA'd. Look at this massive line to get in and see Erica Kirk. Where is this? George Washington. This is at GW. They're still hosting Turning Point. Damn. What kind of psychotic faculty allows this? They don't get invited by the faculty, though. They get invited by, like, some shithead donor, usually, to these things. And well, it's a private university, right? I'm not sure. I don't really care. But yeah, this is in DC. So all the fucking groiped up professional chuds, and anybody who's looking to instigate will be there, I guess. No, because everybody's a fucking politics head over in if they work in DC for the most part, right? Wow.
Prospectors should not be in business if we are able to identify the red flags, and that's what we're basing these numbers on. These are not random assumptions. World experts at CMS say if you've got 100% or near survival, certainly if...
Okay, I'm bored there already. Let's see what the pool kids, well, did Daily Wire put out anything fun, maybe? It's the Riley Gain. I need a fun little nickname for her. What if I just scroll Instagram Reels? MAGA-stagram Reels. Let's see what the Daily Wire stuff.
What's more likely? Did we go to the moon, or did Joe Biden actually win 2020 election?
The election. That was living on the moon.
Did we go to the moon, Rachel?
Yes, we did.
Bergie, did we go to the moon?
I think we should. Did we? You mean did we?
Is the Earth flat, or did we go to the moon?
Going to the moon, right? What kind of question is that?
I completely agree. Moon landing or Black History Month?
Black History Month. Moon landing's fake.
Are you racist, or do you believe we went to the moon?
How do I answer this, bro?
Moon landing or the 19th Amendment?
What are you talking about?
Dude, they're woke. They're woke, dude. Okay, I need to look. Let me scroll through some of these shorts.
What is your message to Americans who love the president and strongly believe in him, but are very worried about this notion of boots on the ground?
As far as President Trump and boots on the ground, I don't understand why the base, which they have already, they understand, wouldn't have faith in his ability to execute on this. Look at his track record of pursuing peace through strength, America first outcomes. And what he's simply saying, and it's
amazing
exactly true, and I've
track
said from this podium too, we're not going to foreclose any option. You can't fight and win a war if you tell your adversary what you are willing to do or what you are not willing to do, to include boots on the ground. Our adversary right now thinks there are 15 different ways we could come at them with boots on the ground. And guess what? There are.
Thanks for following.
So if we needed to, we could execute those options
alerts?
on behalf of the President of the United States and this department. Or maybe we don't have to use them at all. Maybe negotiations work, and maybe there's a different approach. The point is to be unpredictable in that. Certainly not let anybody know what you're willing to do or not do. But if anybody has internalized the lessons of Iraq and Afghanistan, as the first one, President Trump, to call them out for what
he definitely internalized the lessons of Iraq and Afghanistan, and by doing that, he chose an even worse target to start a war with. Yeah. The lessons of Iraq and Afghanistan for him were that the American military can basically get away with doing anything they want as long as, you know, the local population doesn't have the military strength to fight back. Anyway.
What they are, he's not going to repeat those lessons. And I think I've been very clear about that from the podium.
What is your...
If you're not encouraging your children to grow up and have the courage to get married and have kids, it is High time to start.
What is she? What the? What?
Of course, she thinks everyone should have a lot of kids. She has a 1-year-old that sleeps all day.
God. Okay.
If you're not encouraging your children to grow up and have the courage to get married and have kids, it is high time to...
No idea how to roast these motherfuckers, dude. Like, I don't know. I watched some of her specials back when I was like in high school. They were fine, I think. I don't know.
I just got these 2 Trump hats for free.
Okay, come on. Low-key kind of funny because, you know, it's a systemic issue, not just a one-man bad issue, you know. That's the issue with, that's a valid critique of No Kings. Unfortunately for the Daily Wire well, unfortunately for us, the Daily Wire is at least smart enough to point that out. Ugh, fuck.
I just got these 2 Trump hats for free. Let's see if anybody else wants them. Trump, make America great again. 45, 47, baby. Nah, dog. I do it for the love of the game. Some of y'all look like you need some hats. Come on, let's go. Free hats. No charge, no price. Come on. He's number 1. If you want, they're free. Come on. Dementia. Free cold. It's cold. Free hats. Come on. I just got these 2 Trump hats.
Wow.
What? We're flying to
What an epic
no! That's hell! I just
so
got
he
these...
just went to this thing to like instigate, and nobody
charge, no price.
Like,
come on, he's number 1.
There's just a bunch of boomers being okay. This is on the Capitol Mall or the National Mall too. It's just a bunch of boomers being like, "No thanks, buddy. Go back to your, dwellings, whatever."
What? We're flying to Philadelphia. Oh hell no! That's hell no!
90% of Americans, can you please pass a voter ID law? The way they do these polls too is like so skewed because they ask the question in a certain way that makes it seem like we actually need a voter ID law. But one way to solve it would just be giving people a federal ID at birth rather than just like a social security number. Or like, you get a free federal ID. They have that in China, at least, where everybody carries around well, maybe they don't have to carry it around because they do everything on their phone, or they have all their, traveling needs are accessible online in China. But they do have, national IDs. What happened to Tiger?
The last thing that the American people need are for untrained ICE agents to be deployed at airports, potentially.
So this is the shit that those kids we saw earlier are posting or working on, I think. This type of shit. Not even funny.
To brutalize or in some instances kill them.
Wow, ICE getting paid fucking an insane fat paychecks for ICE agents to fill in for TSA that were already doing this job. Wow, thank you, sir. Thank you for detaining any suspect that we see at the airport. Any suspicious...
Even in my 75% scenario, that is what's best for America, even if it's not what's best for the Republican Party in the midterm elections. By the way, I think if we get that 75% scenario, that's assuming the war is going to be over in the next 6 weeks. So I don't think that that's the thing people are talking about in November anyway. Speaking of which,
I think
President Trump, will he visit Iran before the end of the year? This is the open question over at Kalshi. Kalshi has a shockingly, apparently, 11% of people believe that President Trump is going to visit Iran before the end of the year. That would be a midterm campaign stop.
If he goes to Iran, it's going to be to pretend like he won and actually just negotiate a way for the Gulf allies to get around the Ayatollah's Strait of Hormuz closure. Like, that's the only reason he'd go. And he's too, I don't know. He's too insane. Like, he canceled a diplomatic trip to China that was supposed to happen this month. Too. Trump does not know how to take an L, so he is not a graceful loser at all. You know, he has the Roy Cohn method of just deny, 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 or whatever. And he's been drinking his own Kool-Aid ever since then, I think. Wow. This hog came up to ICE to ask how her son can join these bunch of fucking otherwise unemployable losers. Yeah, this guy looks like he's fit. They've all got fucking beer bellies. Wow, our strongest soldiers. They just give these guys like tactical vests, and anybody can join ICE. They just give you a tactical vest and a gun, or like, here, buddy, go do whatever the fuck you want. Basically. And I think I did a video about that ICE hearing a couple weeks ago where a whistleblower was, you know, talking about how the ICE training standards are totally, like, basically non-existent. There's no training standards for any of these guys. They don't need to know the law or anything. any sort of law to pass the test. They literally just, like, it's literally the South Park episode with the teacher, you know, just being like, oh, I need to get that bag or whatever, and you know, they just shove a gun and a tactical vest in your hand, and you know, at least a lot of ICE agents are smart enough to wear a mask because they know they could have legal repercussions if I haven't seen this. Where'd they get this robot? MIT. While it can walk on a flat surface, at least. So this is as advanced American robotics have gotten. Yeah, China's kind of kicking our ass there, I think, from what I've seen, or what I can gather, unless there's like some secret program where they're building like millions of these things that are way more, you know, military ready or combat ready.
I'm going to take you guys through the TSA line at Houston's airport. The wait time's around 4 to 5 hours. Let's start walking and see how long it takes us. We're about 1 minute into our... I'm going to take you guys through the TSA line at Houston's airport. The wait time's around 4 to 5 hours. Let's start walking and see how long it takes us. We're about 1 minute into our walk through this line. Past 2 minutes of walking the line.
Thank you, President Trump. What does the Daily Wire think they're doing here? I guess people are still gonna fall for it. Be like, this is the Democrats' fault. But, you know, what?
Still going, and we're gonna go now upstairs because it can...
Like, she's in a Republican state, Republican-controlled state, under the Republican-controlled House and Senate, and they're somehow gonna spin this back to being the Democrats' fault.
Continues up now. So we're almost like 5 minutes into walking this. I think.
Republican president too, if I left that out.
I also haven't seen a TSA officer. It's gonna snake around all the way through here.
Yeah, man, I wonder why you haven't seen a TSA officer. Maybe it's because they haven't been getting a fucking paycheck. And they need money to survive. And they're not fucking getting, you know, loaded, fat, loaded paychecks. You know, unearned paychecks like these ICE goons are.
So now the line continues outside. I can't even see an end of line in sight. Now we are at the start.
Yeah, this looks good, I think.
Part of the indoor upstairs line, 6 or 7 minutes into walking this, and I finally have clocked TSA since this entire journey. These people are finally getting a taste of airport security. About 3.5 hours of waiting time since we started. These people are finally getting, hopefully, to their flights. I'm gonna take.
Why did the Daily Wire post this? Wow. Thank you, President Trump. I don't know.
Very nice. You got vodka in there? Very
I
nice.
wish. I wish.
Thank you for your
Thank
service.
you.
Thank you.
Dude, this guy's just evil, and he's owning it. Or he's playing a joke on them. I don't know. I've seen guys that drive around with a fucking empire symbol, and it's like, are you serious? You like this type of pyramid scheme, you know?
Thank you for the service. Thank you for the service.
You're happy with ICE?
Yes.
Okay.
I like that. I'm happy for the eyes. Thank you for the service.
God. Fucking pig, dude. Dems crash out over ICE agents in airports. ICE is literally handing out water bottles and saving spots so people can use the restroom. Why does this... Oh my God, I hate this so much.
Sinatra, I knew most of them. Unfortunately, I never met Elvis, and that would be one I would have liked a lot. But I do like his music. So thank you for inviting me.
Okay, I'm bored of the Daily Weirdos. Let's see what's new. Kash Patel's gonna get the axe too. After Iran hacked him, I guess that's why. Oh, this idiot. It case for Hassan Piker as a Democratic she's a hog. She's a pig too. Don't get me. She may act or pretend to be a fucking liberal, but no, she's just a spite-driven pig as far as I can tell. It's all I've seen her like, dude, let's go through her fucking this girl's history. Already the vibes are off. Okay. Are fans of the pit all right? Neither are true. Yeah, anyway. Why'd I even click on this loser's profile? It's boring. Who the fuck is astroturfing this guy? Yeah, dude. Who is astroturfing Hassan Piker? It couldn't be that he's just built up a fan base over 10 plus years of doing political commentary. He's gotta be astroturfed. Oh, where do I get to where can I find MAGA Twitter? Search. Now let's see what the pool kids are up to. Have been up to. They did it. He's done. Okay.
It's like a do not disturb setting for your mind.
They're talking.
It gets
They
you
talked
focused
about
in just
Hassan
5
today.
minutes.
That's
Using
awesome. Let's see.
The machine state is closing ranks. In Illinois...
The machine state. I mean, I guess, sorta.
Recently, progressives got blown out, and the more corporate, moderate Democrats seem to be winning. We saw something similar in Texas with Jasmine Crockett and her bid for the Senate. Stephen Colbert and
Who got blown out?
out, and the closing ranks. In Illinois recently, progressives got blown out.
No, they didn't. Abu Ghazaleh was literally on the cusp of, you know, was in the margin of victory. But whatever.
Out, and the...
There was also... But it was also because, like, the Israel lobby and corporate lobbies, like, fucking blasted Illinois with ads. Like, tens of millions of dollars worth of ad spend in, like, the last week, right? I don't know. I covered that
more
already.
corporate, moderate Democrats seem to be winning. We saw something similar in Texas with Jasmine Crockett and her bid for the Senate. Stephen Colbert and James Tellerico combined powers to stage a hoax. Stephen Colbert and James Tellerico combined powers to stage a hoax.
Yeah, it was a hoax. Barry Weiss cutting that segment from live, airing live on TV. That was a hoax.
To help eliminate Jasmine Crockett from the runnings. And now many Democrats are saying they don't want to associate with Hassan Piker. He's getting massive backlash across mainstream media and in Democratic circles. The interesting thing is that for a while, Hassan was the darling of the media, giving beautiful profiles, but now they're calling him left-wing Nick Fuentes and left-wing Candace Owens.
Yeah, I mean... No motion establishment bricks are.
Which is all just so strange, because they don't really know which direction they're going with it. But of course, Hassan Piker is pushing back, but I'm not sure it'll matter. Seems the big play right now in politics is to close ranks around a more moderate base. Even Joe Rogan has been critical now of MAGA, as many of them being dorks, moving away, and the moderates basically saying, we don't want the fringes at all
He's right.
anymore. I'm actually seeing...
Joe Rogan is right. You're a fucking dork. You don't understand anything you're talking about, and you pretend, and you still post whatever.
Rumblings underground, beneath the surface in the rumor mill, that powerful investment is going to be moving into candidates that are kind of more middle of the road. It's been too destabilizing to have the far left populists and the far right populists constantly fighting each other, both figuratively and literally. And while certainly they've already gone to ban prominent people on the right, it has now come for the one and only Hassan Piker. That's right. The most prominent leftist streamer now faces the excision from the mainstream. The New York Times gave him a glowing profile, and many people were upset, but now many politicians don't want to associate with him. Because, my friends, woke is broke, it's not coming back. Now, we think. There are a few stories where many people are saying woke will
is
come
broke,
back with a
it's not
vengeance.
coming back. That's why there are like 8 million boomers out at No Kings. Yeah.
But I don't think it'll come back overtly. I think they may try to implement certain woke things underground, but they know that it's deeply unpopular, so they've been trying to move away from these policies on the surface. And Hassan Piker...
What policies? Which ones? Medicare for all? Yeah, that's unpopular. That's totally... Yeah, if you actually try to nail any of these guys down on anything, like what they support and what they oppose, you'll just never get a real straight answer. Or you'll get them to agree with them. Take, for example, like when Sam Cedar went on his show.
Has a past that he cannot escape.
And then his audience was pissed because he was like, why didn't you own Sam Cedar? Or at least like, okay, oh, whatever. I don't see MAGA as far right. I see MAGA as common sense.
Okay, and I'm not saying anything untoward. You don't have to like his politics. I'm saying the dude has advocated for a set of policies publicly that he can't now just disavow. Democrats know they're not going to win by trying to go the progressive route. And to be honest, powerful investors behind media don't want either MAGA or the progressive left. So it seems like a change is here. And it starts not with Hassan, not ending with Hassan.
Same people that, whatever. Same people that donate to Democrats donate to the Republican Party too. You know, they put their eggs in both baskets. It's how oligarchy or late stage capitalism functions, at least under this current political system.
But certainly here is the man caught in the cross.
I like how I've been clicking on all the right-wing shit, and now I'm getting an ad to buy a Israel pin. That's cool.
Fire. Let's jump into the news and see exactly what the...
At least Israel knows who's still on their side, or what kind of people are sort of like fucking MAGA dick eaters, basically. Bootlickers.
Play is from the Democrats moving forward, and of course, Hassan has responded. Before we jump into the story from the New York Times, check out timcast.com, my friends, and click join now. We got a community on Discord, tens of thousands of people. It's not what you know, it's who you know. So if there's a project you want to get started on, a song you want to write, a comic you want to make, a business you want to entrepreneurify, whatever the word might be, you can do it. El Sayed, who was in a... Maybe there's something you can do to help you do, so it is great where you can. It would be greatly appreciated. Hassan Piker rallies spark backlash in Michigan's Democratic Senate primary. This is where it all begins. They say tensions over Israel burst into the open in the Democratic Senate primary in Michigan this week after a candidate scheduled rallies with a provocative left-wing streamer who has been an outspoken critic of the Israeli government and its war in Gaza. The candidate, Dr. Abdul El Sayed, who was in a competitive three-way Democratic primary, faced forceful criticism from his opponents and others within his party after announcing that streamer Hassan Piker would join him at rallies at the University of Michigan and Michigan State on April 7th.
Yeah, and then Abdul came out and still defended him even after the attacks.
Mr. Piker's huge young following has made him an appealing ally for progressive Democrats. He taped an interview with Zoran Mamdani last year during the New York mayoral race and later attended Mr. Mamdani's election night party. In 2024, he filmed a stream for the Democratic National Convention. Some have called Mr. Piker the Joe Rogan on the left. I would argue that he's not, because that would imply there would be a Joe Rogan on the right, which there is not. But I love how the...
Yeah, Joe Rogan just endorsed Trump and went to his inauguration, but he's not right-wing. Oh, what's that? He's also like, you know, Joe Rogan is right wing as fuck. He's just a fucking crank for the most part, but he's also, you know, not left wing.
Media pretends there is. Joe Rogan is a moderate, middle of the road, independent, somewhat apolitical guy. Hassan Piker is a progressive leftist. They say his statements about Israel have alarmed some Democrats. He has said that the Hamas-led attack on October 7th was the direct consequence of actions by the Israeli and U.S. governments. And it doesn't matter if rapes happen on October 7th, saying, doesn't change the dynamic for me. How about notably when he was having a discussion with Ethan Klein and he said, babies are settlers. And everyone was like, bro.
I don't think that happened. I think Ethan Klein got, I'm ashamed that I remember this, but I think like on the D program, you got with Gopnik, Second Thought, and Hakeem. Like Second Thought said something along the lines of babies are settlers, like right in the aftermath of October 7th, and then Ethan Klein used that to be like, how dare Hassan associate with these guys? Anyway.
Too far.
Wait, does it even say that Hassan said that on this article?
As a moderate, middle-of-the-road, independent, somewhat apolitical guy. Some Democrats. He has said that the Hamas-led attack on October 7th was the direct consequence of actions by the Israeli and U.S. governments. And it doesn't matter if rapes happen on October 7th, saying, it doesn't change the dynamic for me. How about notably when he was having a discussion with Ethan Klein and he said, babies are settlers. And everyone was like, bro, too far. Well, look, even...
Yeah, that didn't happen. I don't think so. I watched that whole thing. Because it was valuetainting. That was some actual valuetainment. To see, like, a crash out versus a Chad debate. Anyway.
Even after all that, they still tried courting this guy. But now that it seems they're closing ranks, Hassan, you got to reel it in, buddy. They say Mr. Piker stood by those comments in an interview Friday. He said he did not deny there was sexual violence during the October 7th attack, but that doesn't make genocide acceptable. He also said that the United States deserved the September 11th terror attacks, but later apologized for the comment. Dr. El Sayed's rivals seized upon Mr. Piker's planned visit, which was announced 12 days after a man drove a truck into a synagogue in suburban Detroit, wounding a guard in what the authorities described as a targeted attack against the Jewish community. In an interview, the Jewish Insider on Thursday, State Senator Mallory McMorrow, another candidate, described Mr. Piker as somebody who says extremely offensive things in order to generate clicks. I gotta defend Hassan on this one. Are you kidding me, guys? Quote,
Russia, Ukraine is the enemy of America. Coming from this guy.
That is not somebody that you should be campaigning with at a moment when there is clearly a lot of pain and trauma across our state. You don't fan the flames and stoke division just to get attention. I would not accuse Hassan Piker of saying extremely offensive things for content. I would say that Hassan Piker says what is socially acceptable on the left to generate a following. Hassan does not step out of line from the progressive mainstream narrative. I don't think he's pushing the boundaries all that much just to get clicks. I actually think of all of the progressives and all of the libs, Hassan's actually a better of them. I know a lot of people are going to be like, Tim, why are you defending Hassan? Well, I got to tell you what I think is true. I think he's got bad opinions. I don't agree with them. But when you look at his body of work, he talks
Which ones? Specifically, anyway.
about a variety of issues.
They're just vague, like the ultimate vague post. He's got a lot of bad opinions. I don't agree with them. But he's better than the other ones. Wow. Real informative there.
There are many progressives and liberals who just scream Trump 24/7, and their whole channels are literally just pictures of Trump.
Yeah, that's David Hackman and Brian Grifter Cohen and Dean liberal spy, I don't know, Dean and Midas Touch, I guess, that cohort of people.
Hassan doesn't do that.
The Trump
he may have opinions I don't
economy.
like, and he should be criticized. And you don't have to associate with him if you're a Democrat. That's fine. But I got to admit, there are many more liberals that would be viewed as safe for endorsements or for rallies who are literally just rage bait machines that don't even have any literal criticism of Trump. They just post pictures of Trump and say, Trump's crazy, Trump's bad, Trump's stupid, Trump's dumb, over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's not wrong.
That I don't respect. At least Hassan purports to have
I don't
opinions.
respect him either, not gonna lie.
Well, here we go, my friends from Politico. Why some Democrats want to shut off Hassan Piker's megaphone. Popular streamer's rise as a Democratic influencer coincides with the party's long search for a path out of the wilderness. Interesting, nonetheless. They say after Politico reported that Piker, the far-left political streamer with millions of followers, will stump in Michigan for Abdul El-Sayed. History of his divisive comments launched an avalanche of criticism from Republicans and Democrats. Piker's rise as a Democratic influencer and surrogate coincides with the party's long search for a path out of the wilderness, particularly in recapturing young men. And what did we learn just this week? That they're looking for white Christian men. So when you have a pro-Islamic guy, you're not really going to be catering to your new strategy by bringing...
Yeah, man, he's pro-Islamic. Dude, just racist nonsense because his name is Hassan and he's culturally Muslim from a Muslim country. Yeah, he's pro-Islamist, actually. He's not... Yeah. Yeah, that's why Hassan says the things he says, because he's pro-Islam.
Into the fold. Piker is scheduled to appear in a live...
As in, not that he defends resistance groups or, you know, anti-imperialist Islamist movements. Anyway.
Streamed Choose Your Fighter rally organized by Progressive Victory at 6:30 p.m. Saturday. Rhett Ro-Khanna is among...
Or he tries to, you know, give people an education about Islamist government or like Hamas, like the different sects and the differences between like Hamas and ISIS. Like, you know, it's just that he just likes all of them. Yeah,
on the list of attendees,
man.
Maine Democratic Senate candidate Graham Plantner. I thought it was Planter? I thought it was Plantner. And was originally billed as a participant, but he pulled out of the event. Could it be because he had a Totenkopf on his chest and they... Guys, this guy had a Nazi tattoo. Not an accident, not something that looked like a Nazi tattoo. A literal Totenkopf on his chest.
Pretty sure Platner pulled out of the event because of it was miscommunicated. There's like some miscommunication. He didn't intend to go in the first place, maybe. I don't know. Doesn't really matter.
I'm not surprised. The question over Piker's prominence also comes as both Republicans and Democratic parties ask fundamental questions about how big their tents should be. In an interview with Politico, Piker downplayed accusations that have been leveled against him, like center-left think tank Third Way, whose leaders wrote in a Wall Street Journal op-ed that Piker had a history of anti-American, anti-women, anti-Western, and anti-Semitic comments. Piker said Third Way was losing their institutional relevance. He also said he's merely channeling, not changing, the attitudes of the Democratic base. That's exactly what I accuse him of. When they say that he just says shocking, outrageous things for clicks, I say, no. He's more like a Candace Owens, saying whatever the base wants to hear instead of what is true or what needs to be said. And he kind of admits it, although he's not literally saying...
No. Candace Owens is a fucking lunatic. Hassan Piker gives people the tools to analyze and communicate their frustrations with their politicians and government. That's the difference, because people do not receive a political education in the United States. And to get one, at least up until recently, you actually had to go, you know, outside the classroom, typically. Unless you had like a cool Marxist professor who put you on the right books and stuff.
Saying he's a Candace Owens. I love how the media has called him a left-wing Nick Fuentes, though, and I'm just like, no. Nick's his own dimension. Nick represents his own little, his own, I shouldn't call it little, but I mean like his own sector of politics. He's told people not to vote Republican, you know? So I guess maybe if Hassan's saying don't vote Democrat. I'm a megaphone, right? Piker told Politico. There are a lot of Barbs and Deborahs out there in Minneapolis, for example. They have never encountered me, and yet they share that frustration with the failures of establishment liberalism all the same. Piker said those types of voters view Democrats as ineffective, inept. It's not because they tune into the Hassan Abi broadcast every day. He said, referencing his channel. They are, you know, excellent plug, by the way. That's how you do the quote, you know what I mean? They arrive at that conclusion because the Democrats lost to Trump twice. Yet they lost to him because you're trying to give children sex changes, bro. Like, I supported Democrats in 2020. I donated the
Totally, that's why. It wasn't because of Gaza or, you know, running a fucking loser coward. Or running war hawk old lady, a corrupt old war hawk like Hillary Clinton. It's because they wanted to give children Yeah, these guys have like such a bad memory. Like they also forget that Trump literally ran as pro-trans in 2016 because he didn't want to have the fucking white people because I don't know, because the whiteys were still learning about LGBTQ stuff, so he didn't want to lose those suburban voters. Anyway.
Maximum to 2 candidates and a progressive member of Congress. I wanted the establishment, for many of these reasons, to be curtailed. The Democratic establishment sucked. I am exactly what Hassan is purporting to describe. The only issue is, as a regular American, my concerns over what the Democrats were doing would not be answered by the progressives, so I ended up voting for Trump. Ryan Moore, y'all want to give kids sex changes? I'm sorry, I'm not.
Sure, man. Yeah, they want to give kids sex changes.
The good news is not Hassan's first rodeo live stream interview with Ocasio-Cortez and Sanders before one of the duos fighting oligarchy rallies. But Piker's increasing coziness with prominent Democrats also come as some in the party argue he poses a problem. Here we go. Piker is close to, but not over the Nick Fuentes line. Here it is. Where going on his show itself is indefensible, said Matt Bennett, who's been sounding the alarm about Democrats' affiliation with Piker. Bennett added that Democrats take on all of his baggage if they don't overtly reject him, which he said is dangerous because it empowers the right and gives them an incredibly powerful tool to hit Democrats with. That's very bad. But some Democrats like Khanna argue the party needs to assemble a broad coalition. That must include engaging with Israel critics like Hassan Piker, as PodSafe hosts have done, and many progressive candidates have done. Of course, I disagree strongly with some of his statements and point that out, but canceling people or shaming people like Hassan Piker, Sean Ryan, or Theo Vaughn is not the answer. I like Ro Khanna. I stand with him in this capacity. I don't think shutting Hassan down solves your issue, solves the problem. I think trying to get these personalities to moderate makes the most sense. We've had Nick Fuentes on the show, and I thought the show was great. I think Nick believes things that are wrong. I disagree with. I think we agree that there is a base reality.
I think Nick Fuentes is great. Tim Pool. I think this overt neo-Nazi is great. Thanks for the quote, Tim.
I pull up a news article. We'll agree the news has reported this thing. But we have very different opinions. There is, however, an overlap. I think these conversations are important. I think Nick is right about a lot of things. I think he's wrong about a lot of things. And I think he does post offensive jokes and some offensive opinions. I would say the exact same thing of Hassan Piker, but I do think it's silly to claim that they represent the other side of each other's coin. I don't care where you stand. If you hold a seat that speaks to many people, then your voice is important when we're having these conversations. You may not like Hassan Piker, Democrat.
Boring.
I'd much prefer Hassan Piker use his influence, step away from the far left fringe stuff, and rally people towards the things that we all can agree on. Like his.
I'd much rather Hassan Piker stop doing what he's doing and start agreeing with me. Yeah, I wonder why. Maybe it's because you're fucking no motion and you literally took like Russian money to do Russian propaganda from Patrick Gregorian, right? Or something. That was the name of the fake investor that they funneled money to him through.
His uncle does. Cenk Uygur, for all of my criticism of the guy, and for which there is many, at least tries to find some common ground, and repeatedly made the statement that if the left and the right just paused...
Yeah, and Cenk was proven wrong, dude. Demonstrably. Now then he went on, like recently he went on Piers Morgan and crashed the fuck out because, he doesn't realize that, these motherfuckers literally don't care about anything. And they definitely don't care about the truth. Maybe he'll come to that realization soon.
Complex and war in the Middle East. And then Hassan criticized me when I added. That includes the $250 billion in funding for Ukraine. Hassan then goes, oh, yo, bro, literally says just like leave him. That's my point. Hassan does not care about the principle of the issue. Should we be funding all of these foreign wars? He cared about what was acceptable. And to the left, war in the Middle East is not acceptable, but war in Ukraine is. So it wasn't an issue of the military-industrial complex like he purported it to be. It was, my audience says yes. That's how I view this guy. Well, where we are headed right now is to a brave new world. People are changing their opinions, and they are coming back to the center. This includes Joe Rogan. From Augusta Free Press, they say, the right-wing comedy grift, Joe Rogan's predictably pivots toward the center. No, Joe Rogan was always in the center. Joe Rogan shifted to the right because moderates shifted to the right in their choice for who should win the presidency. But Joe Rogan's always been a moderate. The Republicans just won the favor of the moderates. I've always been a moderate. Republicans just won the favor of the moderates. It's not a grift. Joe Rogan is just exactly this guy. The point is, it seems to be the direction they're going. Now, I'll give a shout out to Jon Stewart for attacking MAGA voters who are breaking, which includes people like Joe Rogan, because he'll just keep pushing them rightward. That's stupid. But here we go, my friends. Nike faces major U.S. probe for discriminating against white staff. Very interesting. We've got this from the Daily Mail. Nike is on its last legs as stock price plummets after woke push blows up in its face.
Dude. So, whatever. I thought they would at least have the... They didn't even edit this. They just, you know, recorded this in whatever OBS thing they have set up, I guess, and uploaded it like I do. Nice. That's what Tim Pool gets $1.47 million for. Or he's just reading this bullshit thing to fill out the time so he can get more ad revenue. Or whatever, this irrelevant thing to what he was talking about earlier. Let's see if they had an idiot contest today. It's finally done! What was their latest live? What? 2 months ago. Do I have to be a subscriber or something? Oh, brother, this guy.
Believe that person, when they go to jail, should not be starved.
What the point we're leaving out is there is a...
That sounds anti-Semitic.
Before we... there is a consistent threat
Bruh.
to Israel
What is
that is
up with
proven
this guy?
through the amount of rockets that is being fired at Israel daily, right?
They're not being fired by Hamas.
They're being fired by Hamas. They're being fired out of Gaza into Israel. That's what the Iron Dome is for.
I understand that, but it's like a lot of those bombs. I mean, I don't know how big of a...
Yeah, but just because they're bad at it doesn't mean that...
Also, why is he allowed on Tim Pool? Tim Pool is like the #1 Israel defender. At least up until recently. Like along with the Daily Wire.
It's the foreign countries that they're actually afraid of. It's not really Gaza.
Alex is right. There's studies done on this. There's documented evidence that shows that an overwhelming majority of the rockets that are fired into the green zone, the green line into Israel, are glorified bottle rockets. Okay, and they're counted as if they are. It's another. We're under attack.
Yeah. And it's a way of showing how good the Iron Dome is.
Yeah, but it's really not exactly.
So your argument.
So you're going against. And
your argument is they built. Your argument is they make the argument that if there's a threat,
I'm trying to tell you that.
I mean, maybe he is an actual comrade, but he just leans way too much into the fucking.
Make the argument that if there's a threat,
I'm trying to tell you that
this is necessary.
Yeah, because again, Israel under international law,
he definitely doesn't go to any of the local organizing
which
spaces.
are administering international law. Israel is an occupying force. And you can cope and brood and seethe about it all you want, but that's the truth.
No, but this is necessary.
Yeah, because again, Israel under international law. And according to international institutions which are administering international law, Israel is an occupying force. And you can cope and brood and seethe about it all you want, but that's the truth.
Well, there's something to be said too. Is like I do think I disagree with the characterization that American foreign policy is strictly, I mean not strictly, but largely driven by economic. Because you can look at like our embargo of South Africa, for example. It would be extremely beneficial for the American elite to have the arrangement that they had in South Africa because of mineral extraction, direct access, and that sort of thing. And then they place an embargo because of ideology, right? It's wrong to... Apartheid was morally wrong, so obviously you have as a motive. So there's been moments in America.
Sure. There's the I think of it like there's the economic base, and then there's the superstructure of culture, social, political life, and ideas. And the economic base gives life to all society, politics, culture, and influences it greatly. However, there are times when you can see that culture also influences the economic base. I think I'm just making a broad thesis here by saying that economic systems, generally speaking,
make the argument
Okay.
Yeah, but you're being
pushing
naive.
some
When you look at
Marxist shit,
America's
at
biggest
least.
export basically being bombs or the military-industrial complex, America is only encouraged by more war, and you
No,
know
I got
that.
you,
So
and
that's
what
why
I'm
we
saying. There's a
benefit.
happy medium between intervention. I don't like the way we do it right now. I'm not saying I'm not a fucking Bush Republican.
Well, you're saying we're fighting evil, and I think you made the claim that like religions or religious ideology drives foreign policy.
bro,
but
we're fighting
I think,
resistance.
I think that's a. I don't agree with that assessment. I think economic systems drive military and political events. It all stems back to the economy that we
Maybe
have.
I
And
read this
you
guy
know,
wrong.
for
I don't know.
example, the reason that Israel's allowed to do what it's allowed to do is because the people in power are benefiting from it economically.
Why can't I just make your argument?
Okay, maybe I. He just does too much fucking like goy slave jokes or what foreskin jokes. When I tuned into his stream, I was like, "What the fuck?" It was just like all foreskin jokes, and then I got immediately banned for calling that out.
Imperative of our economy.
Well, why can't I just make your argument? We're just being resistance.
Well, because because you're in your feelings.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
I forgot to bring crayons to the.
You make the argument that if there's a threat,
I'm trying to tell you that
resistance is necessary.
Yeah, because again, Israel under international law and according to international institutions which are administering international law, Israel is an occupying force. Well, because they don't have a military, they're deprived.
They are the military. It's called Hamas. You called them resistance.
They're deprived of having any. Show me a military base. Where's their military base?
Okay, this
Brethren, you made a good point.
We're never.
Good for going on there. Doesn't seem
We're
like
never
he
going to
was
be able
doing
to.
too
We're
much
never going to
fucking
be able to get anywhere in this conversation because
left-wing
earlier you said that
anti-Semitism.
Hamas is not a
Yeah,
terrorist
he's
group,
not
right?
They're an armed
there.
resistance
They're
group.
an armed resistance group, right?
Yeah, because they're an occupied people.
So you said earlier.
They're an occupied.
So you have people like Sal.
But I also feel like the humans in the loop has evidentially produced negative results because you've never had so many people saying, no, I want to homeschool my kids because I don't want teachers around my kids because I know what the teachers think and I know what they're teaching in the schools. Ever since COVID, like kind of pulled back the veil and parents were able to see, watching remote schooling or whatever. So I'm not sure which one is actually worse. It is the.
Yeah, I don't think robots being child caretakers is a good idea, man. I think having AI tools is fine as long as there's a pretty strict limit, especially for the students.
You're watching people go extinct, Phil.
There should be no AI for students.
But I also
in the schools that should be banned straight up. Figure out how to use MS Paint, kids. If you want a pretty picture with your presentation.
You're watching people go extinct, Phil.
To that point, exactly. Though, just to say this, the long, millennia-old tradition of passing information down from human to human, even with the addition of writing.
But again, if you can see...
But in a world where, let's say, there are 1,000 potential, there's a menu of AI tutors.
Yeah.
And I think there...
Sure, the issue is that the actual problem here is that we're leaving men behind. The issue isn't that we're raising women up, it's that men are disproportionately being undereducated in school. Primary school is horrible for young boys.
And
we're not
women
giving them social
like
skills on
you.
how to exist. And we're still telling young men that their only value is the amount that they can contribute to the GDP, when in the reality is that what women are looking for is men that make them feel valuable and that they can emotionally connect to. And so the real issue here isn't that we're raising women up, it's that we're leaving men behind, which I'm actually very...
Yeah, that's the real issue. I get... Does this even work on someone like Myron Gaines, who thinks the real issue is Jewish people? Yeah.
Interested.
Well, I want to make this one point, though. I think men are a victim of what their surroundings, because, the amount of men that have microplastics in their testicles now, seriously, now, the amount of estrogen
You're
in
getting
men.
some right now.
Exactly. So I'm saying, don't we think men now have higher estrogen levels than ever in recorded history?
Yeah.
So I feel like that is kind of why the men are, I guess, coming in second place if we talk
No, I don't think so. I think it's also because women develop faster, at least mentally, according to the science, right? I'm no fucking biologist, but pretty sure that's the real answer.
So let's just break it down for my misunderstanding then, because it sounds like I might be misunderstanding. What was the number? Most women have found relationships?
30% of women have dated between the ages of 18 and 25, whereas 61% of men have not dated.
Right, okay, so that's the same number, isn't it?
Is that a real stat?
Sorry, I'm not understanding.
That means 30% of men have dated and 30% of women have dated.
No, 61% of men between the ages of 18 to 25 have not had a relationship.
So that means 30
Sorry, I turn my ears off when the woman speaks.
No, 61% of men between the ages of 18 to 25 have not had a relationship.
So that means 30 of them have dated. Then.
So that means 30% of men have had a relationship.
Sorry, did I mess up? Did I misspeak?
You're saying both. 30% of women
have not dated.
Have not dated.
Okay, have not dated.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay, so if it's 2 to 1 men not dating but women are dating, then the women would have to be dating.
Well, between
the same
that
guys.
age, well, no,
Right.
that's the age bracket. 18 to 25 is one of the key things.
Right, okay, so, but the
So
point
women
is,
are dating older men.
Oh, I see.
That's what's making up the gap.
I think Myron agrees with that, right?
Yeah. I mean, the reality is, average women don't want average men. They date up, and now.
Ugh, the standards are so low for women. Trust me, dude.
With the way we have society, hypergamy is not only reinforced, but it's encouraged.
So let's just break it down for my misunderstanding then, because it sounds like I might be misunderstanding.
The bar is in hell.
Women are told to not
people
settle.
Still can't
They're told to
reach
get
it.
the best.
I mean, I feel
They're
like
not having
lonely-
relationships.
Yeah,
It's
isn't loneliness
fucked.
up? Isn't loneliness? So
Is this just
Let's ask
culture
this
war
question.
stuff? Do they actually talk about anything I care about?
Yeah, well,
is because this is still the legacy decades later.
I don't know shit about
It's
Zimbabwe.
absolutely.
Not
And
gonna
so
lie.
what we often hear in South Africa, and I guess in some other African countries, is that Africa is black people's continent. It's the continent for black people. And then people would applaud when you say that. But now just imagine if you apply that to other continents. If you say no, Europe is the continent for white people, and if you apply that same
Ugh, brother, dude. Fucking another fucking neo-Nazi talking point.
argument, that would be, if you are black and you are in Europe, you must remember that you are a visitor and you should have
White nativist bullshit.
Now, even though it's 95% Hispanic, now it's diverse.
Yeah.
As long as it's not white.
That kind of crushed my soul. Anything actually funny to react to? Where are my chatters? I'm tired and bored, so I'm ending it here. Hope you enjoyed the HOGWATCH. I don't know. I gotta figure out something, get more clicks. Like and subscribe, please. It helps boost me in the algo if you want to support my message. Anyway, have a good one.